come forward to offer incense. On behalf of Dharma School, Zoe Hasagawa and Kira Nakashima. Junior YBA, Danilo Murata. Senior YBA, Vicky Shinkawa. Yaba Evan Ko. SBBWA Fran Shintaku. Gojikai Mas Tahara. The Betsuin Howard Luke. Thank you to all our representatives. Please rise for the singing of the Bodhi tree, found on page 140 of your white Gatha book.
Amen.
Please remain standing for the reading of the threefold refuge found on page 10 of your service book. Reverend Kusunoki will lead us.
The threefold refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in the what life shall we cross over? Let us, with the sincerity and true reverence, take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The purest, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter. Even in many hundreds of thousands of kalpas, now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Naman Dap, Naman Dap, Naman Dap.
You may be seated. Today we have the privilege of having a guest speaker, and our president of the Betsuin, Alan Hoshino, will now announce and introduce our guest speaker.
Good morning, everyone. It's really my pleasure to introduce a very old friend of mine, Reverend Brian Nagata. He is originally from Fowler, California, which is a little bit south of Fresno, and currently is out of the Oakland Buddhist Temple. Brian has been working in and around the BCA since probably he was in YBA. I first met him back in, probably in the 1970s as a delegate to a national YBL conference, and that was the first time I met him. Brian currently is at the Bukkyo Dendo Kyokai, which is the, Society for the Promotion of Buddhism. It's an entity that was formed by Mr. Numata and the Numata Center, which some of you may have heard of. The statue that's out front in the park of Shinran, that was donated by the BDK to our temple. And I believe the bell might have also been donated by the Numata Center to us, or by the BDK. Brian Sensei has worked there now for over 30 years and is a very active member. He's just recently this year ended a stint doing the editing of the Wheel of Dharma, the BCA newsletter. And he serves on a number of different college boards. He's an advisor to the UC Berkeley East Asian Library, University of Chicago Divinity School, University of Toronto Ho Center for Buddhist Studies and American Buddhist Center, and several other universities, which is part of his involvement with the BDK. So without any further ado, I'd like to have Reverend Brian Nagata come up and speak to us today. Thank you. Sensei.
Good morning. Thank you very much for welcoming me to beautiful Seattle. Thank you for stopping the rain. This morning, I'm a bit nervous to be up here. And the reason is because many of you know Takemura Sensei. And Takemura Sensei was my first sensei when I was a little boy. So Takemura Sensei and his wife Naomi-san, I've known them for almost my whole life, and they can see what happened to me in the almost 60 years that we've been friends together. So I'm a bit nervous to have to speak right in front of Sensei this way. But please bear with me, and I will try and give my message as best as I can. It's hard to believe, I think, for everyone that it's already December, right? The kids are all excited. It's December 8th today. That means Christmas is only how many days away? 17 days. How many of you are going to be good kids for 17 more days? There have been many years, I think all of you know Reverend Kuwahara, his boys are like my grandsons, and I tell them, did Santa Claus bring a gift for me to your house? And they go, no, Brian, nani mo nai, there's nothing for you. And I say, okashi, that's strange, you know? I didn't get anything at my house either from Santa Claus. And then little Hiroto goes, were you a bad boy this year? And I have to admit to 6-year-old Hiroto, yes, I was probably a bad boy. But it's only 17 days until Christmas, and that means it's 24 days until New Year's. Where did this year go by, right? If you're old like me, you think, you close your eyes and it's already December, right? Life just keeps going so quickly. But this morning, I wanted to share a story with you. This part is for the kids, so the older people, you could sleep if you want, okay? But I wanted to get in a special story for the kids this morning. But this morning, I brought a friend with me from Berkeley, and I want to introduce you to Mr. Beaver. Oh, his ojuzu fell off. He had an ojuzu, but it fell off. Anyways, this is Mr. Beaver, my friend. So do you know, according to the Asian zodiac, what this year is? It's the year of the pig. Pig, this year is pig, right? Yeah. Anyone pig years, people? Pig? Yay. You know, that's one way how you could tell how old people are within 12 years, right? If you don't want to ask them their age, you just ask, what year were you born in? And then you can kind of guess. Well, I was born in year of the ram. So if you can figure out the sequence of the years. But this year is the year of the pig, and it's the final year of the 12-year cycle, right? So we'll begin a new cycle next year. So do you know what the first year animal is? Are you sure? So Mr. Beaver says the first year is named Year of the Beaver. Has anyone heard of a Year of the Beaver? Right? I don't think so. Are you sure? He's telling me, yeah, the Buddha wanted to name the first year of the beaver. Okay, well, I'll tell you the story to them, why it should be Year of the Beaver. So according to Mr. Beaver's story, long, long ago, he was playing in the forest with all of his friends, when all of a sudden, they heard the Buddha calling out that they should come to see the Buddha immediately and listen to an important Dharma message that he had to give to everybody. So immediately after that, Mr. Beaver talked it over with his friends, and they decided that they better rush to see the Buddha, to hear the message that the Buddha wanted to share with them. So Mr. Beaver led the way, and he was followed by Miss Rabbit, Mr. Tiger, the snake, Miss Monkey, the dragon, Miss Ox, the goat, the rooster, the dog, the rat, the horse, and Mr. Pig. And it was going to be quite a journey for them to get to see the Buddha, but they were all looking forward to going to hear the Buddha's message. A few hours into their trek, the group came to a river that they needed to cross. Of course, some of the animals couldn't swim, so Mr. Beaver volunteered to build a temporary dam across the river so that everyone could get to the other side. So, Mr. Beaver instructed all the animals to go and gather sticks and twigs that could be used to build the dam. And all the animals pitched in, and before they knew it, the dam was built, and everyone was able to cross the river. But with the building of the dam, the water behind the dam formed a pond, which looked very inviting. And Mr. Beaver suggested to everyone that they take a rest for a few minutes, and spend a few minutes relaxing and cooling off in the pond. Of course, Mr. Beaver was the first one to jump in, and he's having a good time. And the other animals looked at each other and decided, you know what? There really wasn't time to relax because they needed to be on their way to hear the story of the Buddha. So they told Mr. Beaver, hurry up and dry yourself off, and we better get on our way. Well, Mr. Beaver was really enjoying himself. And he told the others, you know what, you guys go ahead, and I'll catch up with you in a few minutes. So the others said, okay, and they told Mr. Beaver, hurry up now, don't take too long, and we'll be on our way. Well, Mr. Beaver was having such a relaxing time, he forgot about the others, and he fell asleep. When he awoke, he looked around, and there was nobody there. All of them had already taken off to see the Buddha. And in fact, it was nighttime. And the moonlight was all that shone on him that he could see his way. So Mr. Beaver quickly dried himself off, and he started on his way. He went for about an hour, and then he still couldn't catch up with the group. Then he decided, you know what, I'm kind of tired, so I want to take a rest again. And I'll catch up with the group tomorrow morning. So he slept that night. The next morning he got up early and headed on his way again. And he walked for another hour or two. Then all of a sudden he could hear the chatter of his friends. And he ran up to the group. And the others immediately asked him, Mr. Beaver, where have you been? And he explained to them, well, you know, it got dark and I couldn't find my way, so I decided to sleep in the forest, and I thought I'd catch up with you guys this morning. So, are we on our way to see the Buddha, he said. And they said, no, we already saw the Buddha. Mr. Beaver was surprised. He missed out on the Dharma message. And the animals explained to him, well, the Buddha told us that the first 12 animals that came to see him would get a year named after them in appreciation for coming to hear the Dharma. Well, so each of the animals, Mr. Rat, Ms. Rabbit, Mr. Tiger, Mr. Snake, Miss Monkey, Mr. Dragon, Miss Ox, the goat, the rooster, the dog, and the horse, and Mr. Pig all got years named after them. So then Mr. Beaver asked, well, did any of you say anything about me? And the animals told him, well, you know, the agreement was you had to be there to hear the Buddha's message to get a year named after you. But Mr. Beaver said, But I was going there. I was trying to be there with you guys. I made the dam that let you cross the river. But the animals all agreed, sorry, you weren't there to hear the Dharma, so you didn't get a year named after you. And so this is the reason why we have 12 animals named after each of the Asian zodiac years. Each of these animals came before the Buddha and was able to hear his last sermon before he passed away. But Mr. Beaver here still feels there should be a year of the beaver. He still claims he worked so hard to enable everyone to get to see the Buddha that it wasn't fair that he got to see that he didn't get a year named after him. No, I don't think so. He said, can we still create a year of the beaver? I don't think so. So, as my story comes to an end for now, I wanted to let you know that Mr. Beaver is trying to be more attentive, and he's realizing now that when you're told to do something, you need to do it right then, and not put off, not sleep, not dilly-dally around, and listen to the Buddha's teaching. He realizes that if he had been on the ball, there would have been a year of the beaver. So I hope none of you are like the beaver, and all of you try your best all the time, and you're always listening to do what's right. Mr. Beaver wanted you to know, even though all the other animals got a year named after him, he's still friends with all the 12 animals. And he's still trying his best every day to listen to the teachings of the Buddha, just like each of you are, he hopes. So thank you very much for listening to Mr. Beaver's Year of the Beaver story. I hope all of you will have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. And someday, when there's a Year of the Beaver, I hope all of you can enjoy the stories that Mr. Beaver has to share with all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Nagata, for a very interesting message. Please stand for the Gatha Ondoku-san 2, Gratefulness 2, found on page 107 of your Gatha book. Is it? Yes, 107. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated. Please join me in Gassho for words from the Ivatmasaka Sutra. Do not seek to know Buddha by his form and attributes, for neither the form nor attributes are the real Buddha. The true Buddha is enlightenment itself. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This concludes live streaming of our service. For those of you who have joined us online, thank you for attending our service today. We hope you will join us again next week. Have a good day.